Welcome to the Choose to Be podcast. Today we have Luke Gordon again with us. Luke, I feel like you are almost becoming a regular guest. Now, I know we've had you on lots of times during the last 3 years, but in the last, what, 2 months? Is this your fourth time,
Been a
Luke?
few. I think it's like 4.
I
Yeah,
think it is your fourth.
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny though, because whenever you come on, the feedback we get around people just finding it valuable, wanting to hear more, wanting to know more of your experience, because we get something really unique from you, which is somebody who has a lived experience from the other side. We focus so much on the betrayal, but a lot of healing from the betrayal is understanding why your partner does or thinks the way that they think. So, thank you for joining us today. Always an honor.
Thanks. Thank you. By the way, can we say one of these things does not look like the other one? When if you're seeing a video podcast, Alana's all business professional today, and I'm like wearing like a sweater and a hoodie. So she said this morning when we left the house, she said, "What did you say?"
Oh, I just asked if you're going to be recording and what you're wearing.
And what you're wearing, and I'm like, those things when you leave your house and your spouse says, "Are you going to be wearing that?" And I'm like, so many things just went through my mind, and I'm like, yes, I will be wearing this. So
Well, and ironically or not ironically, is we're going to be talking about today about authenticity and being real. And so you stuck with your real and it's awesome. It's
yeah,
perfect. That being said, I do look very professional from the top up, but I am wearing jeans. It's Friday. So
it's Friday. Yeah, Friday's like a casual day.
yeah.
Do you want me to jump in and tell everybody why I'm here, or do you want to tell them why I'm here?
Why don't you jump in? We have Amy today. So normally Amy is this
Yeah, I
beautiful.
know she's missed.
She is this beautiful buffer that she's able to jump in at this second there's silence. You might get a lot of awkward silence today. Actually, you won't because we would edit it out. But
No.
yes, go for it, Luke.
Okay, I did get invited, but I was excited to be invited because just the listeners here, Alana and I are putting together an intensive for Choose Recovery Services, and we wanted to share with you all what this intensive is going to be about.
Today, what we wanted to talk about, and this is something I see a lot in my work, and I'm sure, Luke, you see it in your work, is the need for authenticity. And Luke and I, we're in the process right now of doing an intensive. It's coming up here in May, where we're really going to be working with men and helping them step into being more real, being more authentic, finding out who they really are. Because a lot of times when we have addiction or we have compulsivity or we have years of hiding, there's such a loss of a sense of self. And so today, our hope was to really dive into this concept of being real and the challenge of being real for a lot of these men that we work with and how to get there. And so it just coincides really perfectly with this upcoming intensive. And it coincides really well with Luke, you have a podcast coming out called Beyond the Facade. And I would love for you to explain what it entails. So will you maybe even just start with that?
It's funny because you're saying that, and I'm like, I could technically just interchange the words of what the podcast is for or what the intensive is for, and I could just say the same words. I'm trying not to be self-deprecating here, but I don't think I'm anything special when it comes to showing up to a group and talking to women that have experienced betrayal. What I have to offer is just an open book to what the experience is for the man and the experience is for the person that did the betraying. And people that have been betrayed really gravitate towards that. I just want to know my partner's experience. Like this guy that hurt me or this person that hurt me, why are they hurting? And so the request has been, can we just get more information on what are they experiencing? So for the podcast itself, it was created to giving that open mind to what the person is experiencing and becoming more authentic inside of themselves. Maybe a little bit later on in the journey than so much the beginning of the journey. There'll be another podcast for that. But so is the intensive. I mean, not so much that the spouse gets to come or the partner gets to come, but for the men, what they're requesting is okay, I got the tools of sobriety. I got the basics down and maybe I have some time underneath my belt. but and this is my journey still today. Okay. It's just evolving, which is how do I show up authentically? Because I have decades and decades of putting on a mask, showing up in a certain way. And it's two things. It's scary if I do show up authentically because I'm afraid people are not going to like it. The other one is who am I to begin with? Because all I've ever done is try to figure out what other people want. So the podcast and the intensive is geared directly towards that, which is people wanting to feel value. Because I tell you in the beginning, I didn't care. Like as soon as I was caught with all my stuff, I was like, okay, Alana, what do you need from to stay? Just stay, please. What do you need? So I wasn't really even interested in authenticity. I was interested in honesty because I knew again that was the part. Authenticity and honesty aren't exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you talk more about that. What is the difference? Because in any 12-step group, you hear step one is honesty. And it's true. That really is at its foundation. But how does authenticity go a step beyond, or how is that different than being honest?
I want to use the word that you told me before the podcast, before we started here today. And I use the word authentic and you said you use the word real.
Mm.
So maybe we can just talk about that word.
Uh-huh.
And I'd actually like to talk about part of Alana and I's conversation we've had in the past, which is what her version of real is and what my version of real is. Alana is very much a very real person. And what I mean by that is what you see is what you get. You're not going to get a pretend version of her. If you meet her in person, you're not going to get something else. She's not putting on a face for a podcast. Yeah, was she being kind? Was she
A little
going?
bit.
Is she going to be? Is she going to be more? I don't know. I really want to stumble over my words here for a second. So, Alana, I'm going to stop.
I like to believe I show up more professionally in this setting. So how I show up professionally and at home does shift. It does look different. My daughter, she edited some podcasts for a little bit and she's like, Mommy, you have your fake professional voice. And I was like, my fake voice? I don't think it's fake. But how I talk on the podcast, how I talk with clients totally is different than how I talk when I'm hanging out with my kids. So
Yeah,
difference is a professional versus home.
and what you say and what you do is the same. What you say and what you do is the same. And it might be feeling like a silly thing to talk about because we've always learned this concept. We were taught it from when we were really little, but we talk about being real as far as I'm good with me. I am. I know who I am. I genuinely like me. I'm good with my things. Am I imperfect? Do I fall? Do I have my struggles? Am I whatever I am? My words might not be making any sense, but you get what you see is what you get. And there's two different ways of saying that. What you see is what you get. Take me or leave me. Just notice my voice inflection, or I'm good with I got me. I'm good. And that's the real part. That's the authentic part that we're talking. So for me in my journey, at the core sense of me, a core belief system throughout at parts of my journey is that I don't believe that. Don't. I remember being in a couple session with Alana and our therapist and just breaking down and sobbing and being able to barely get the words out that says, if I gave you me, you wouldn't want me. If I gave you me, you would not want me. And the therapist did such a good job of getting me down, stripping me down in a professional way for me to get to a place where I could allow myself to be seen in that way. And I got to tell you, the outcome for that session for me was huge because I was seen by her and I was seen by myself. And there was an opportunity that therapist created for us. It's been a really important part of my journey. We hope that those tools and Alana and I can provide atmosphere in this intensive for men to start to experience maybe a part of them. They just don't allow people to see them. They don't even know if it exists. And the only thing that is evidence that this might be the case is there is conflict in a relationship where just people still can't meet intimately. There's still that conflict and they're not leaning into the conflict and allowing those people to settle into it and be okay. Alana, can you help me with that?
The simplistic way that I'm thinking about this is how much, as your wife, I wanted all of you. I didn't want the parts of you that you thought that I wanted. I wanted all of you. I wanted the messy. I wanted the hard. I wanted the good. I wanted the bad. I wanted to know if there was anything you were holding back or lies or secrecy. I wanted your feelings, even if your feelings were hard and difficult. I wanted to sit in the difficult together and navigate it together. And so often, the person who's already been in hiding for so long, they come forward and they say, okay, here's what I did. And I think it's this one time conversation of I'm just going to lay it down and then moving forward, we should just be good and we can just move forward status quo. But really, that's the first of many, 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 many conversations. And there's so much more than that. So I get these guys who will just check in with sobriety, check in, check in, check in, check in. And you can do that and be totally honest in the sobriety piece, but that's not enough to actually have a real connected, intimate relationship. It takes that vulnerability of leaning in and letting parts of ourselves be seen that we normally wouldn't let others see.
Yeah. Can I talk about that part? And I think for the men that I work with, there's a deep desire to next a partner and they want to be seen. Okay. There's this thing of, I think I am. I think I am. And, or no, I am. And there's that, I don't know how. And we want to talk about the how to do what gets in the way of that. Because one is like, I just want all of you. I'm like, you got it. You got it. Like, I'm here. Do you not see me here? Do you not see me sharing things with you that are hard?
Or do you not see me showing up and doing the work?
Doing the work, right? But there's, again, decades of addiction. This is layers, right? This is layers that come off at a time. And I got to tell you, I don't know what it's like for y'all listening to this. Do you have a layer come off? Ouch.
Mm,
Ouch. Because when all of a sudden I have a layer come off, I was like, I thought I was there. I thought I was real. And now I recognize there's still some self protection. And it's interesting because it's often about a concept or a conversation that has existed 1,000 times, but it's authenticity and being real is something that's earned and learned. It's earned through the learning and through the awareness.
that's really powerful. It's earned and learned. Earned. It doesn't just happen. You don't get it without leaning into some level of discomfort because growth happens in that discomfort.
Mhm.
If we're always comfortable, there's not growth in that.
Yeah. And I've got to tell you, every single time it's so powerful when Brene Brown in that part of her book where she talks about that guy that comes up to her at the end of the conference and says to her, says, I just love vulnerability. I just love it. And she's like, what? Like, no, that's impossible. And that's me often is I think, oh, I just love vulnerability. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm experiencing. Because if I'm doing vulnerability, I'm not going to be liking it. I love the outcome. So I experienced what that man had and what he was trying to articulate was I love the outcome of all this work I've done in the past. I love the outcome of vulnerability, but actual vulnerability. So it's,
Will you stay right there with that for you? Because this is an area where you've done a lot of work, you continue to do work on. For someone who's listening to this and we're saying, hey, face the hard, lean into the hard, like what's the wisdom in that? What's in it for me as an individual for me to get uncomfortable, to show her the parts of me that I don't think she'll actually want to see. And I don't think she thinks she wants it. By the way, this is Luke has told me this so many times. You think you want it, but you don't really want it. And I'm like, no, I want it. I really want it. Please give it to me. No, you think you want it, but you don't really want it. And
yeah,
so there was this you actually having to believe me that I wanted it and then leaning into it. But for you, Luke, what is the reward of facing that hard? What is the reward of, in essence, filleting yourself out to be seen for you to see it and for me to see it?
Yeah, I would say I would say it's this place of I wanna give you an answer that just makes you feel motivated to run towards what we're saying, and that's inauthentic. So here's my authentic answer is just what's in it for me is the difference between a life of secrecy and hiding that has comfort, that is quick and really painful in the long term, or it's picking the opposite, which is choosing the pain and getting the comfort and the enjoyment out of something that's gained and that's reaped later. So just pick my like I do. I get to pick it. I get that short term reward, that short term fix, or I get the one that's long term. And I tell you what, when I'm in the middle of the heart of the journey, it's like a short term. And I'm not talking about porn. I'm talking about just anything that leaves me feeling that I cope with that gives me quick satisfaction. So I think the with them is the just learning to value myself and learning to be comfortable with that and not giving so much power to you, Alana, and other people in my happiness and my being able to be okay. Because I've had that for so long and it feels so unsustainable. I don't want that anymore. So I think my with them is just this continuing search for which feels good so often, which is the it's really nice to learn about these parts of me and be good with me. Like I noticed you have. Like I noticed Alana has. She's good with her. Her days still are hard. She's got some. She's good. And so I think my with them is just what I'm after, getting glimpses of.
Yeah. I love that because if we can focus on short term pain and not just white knuckling the pain, but actually facing it and letting ourselves feel it and learn from it and grow from it. Short term pain for long term gain. Or you can have short term gain, but have long term pain. And so much, and this is actually a big piece that we'll also cover in the intensive, is looking at pain and learning how to sit with pain and using pain as a motivator and a friend and a teacher, and how, as a culture, we're so hardwired to run from pain. And so that is really integral into all of this. And the thing I think I want to wrap up on is you said something to me years ago, Luke, and I never forgot it. And I will still hear men along the way say this phrase. And you said to me, you said, I want to be the man you thought you married. And the first time you said that, I remember hearing that and being like, "Ooh," because so much of what you presented was you met me, you liked me, you're like, "Ooh, I want her to like me. Who does she need me or want me to be?" And this isn't a conscious thought, it's that subconscious. And so you show me who I want. And then when you get to this place of, I want to shed this mask, I want to be real, do I want to be this man she thought she married? And if that aligns with your values, then actually becoming that individual instead of just figuring out what the other person wants.
Yeah. Yeah. And I gotta tell you, I used to really hold on to that, and now it grosses me out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tell me more about that.
I don't know. It was motivating. It was like, hey, Alana saw the really good parts of me, and I hid the bad parts, and she's, I want that, and I want that in my teammate. And then it got worse, and I'm like, okay, I know what she wants. I'm gonna go be that. She telling me I can do that. That's what originally what I want anyway. And I recognize over time, oh, I'm just chasing what somebody else wants.
And post recovery, you also can't take on who does she want me to be post recovery? I see this all the time. Okay, Alana, who teaches and trains other people on what it means to heal from this, I could give you my list. You want the list, or you did. So many of these individuals who have betrayed are like, give me the list. And yet, that's still in essence trying to be who I want you to be. The alternative that we're trying to teach and help individuals embrace is what, Luke?
Themselves, embrace themselves, learn to love themselves. They hate themselves, even if they don't know it. They don't know that person. They look in the mirror, and that person's not a bad person or a bad guy. They demonize that person. Learning to love that person, and that's a journey, that's attachment. I'm excited to go through it. I'm just excited for those of you who are going to be able to attend. I'm excited to, I don't know, just thunder up shoulders with you that are listening. And whether it's the podcast or the intensive, just valuing what you're walking right now. And by the way, just real quick, if that's your motivation to save your family and to save your relationship, more power to you. Please don't let us take that away from you. Don't let us take that away.
But make
Because
sure
that's,
it's you who's showing up in that process.
yeah, just let it, just let these words be something that you think about and you just process through. I think fighting for your family and fighting for your love and person you're connected to is very worthy, but sustainable is what I needed. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for letting me be here alone.
I just want to highlight that word sustainable.
Mm,
We are looking for sustainable and long term growth and peace within yourself.
for sure.
All of those things are attainable, but it begins with learning how to be with you, how to be authentic, how to live with integrity, how to know what your own value system is, and how to dive deeper into that in a way you never have before.
Like,
Yeah. All right, Luke, thank you as always for hanging out with us this week. For our listeners, thank you for hanging out with us. If you want to find information on the intensive, chooserecoveryservices.com or Luke, your new podcast, Beyond the Facade with Luke Gordon, you can look that up anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So thank you for hanging out with us this week, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.